Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. And this wait has been too long. I've been itching for some Carrick ball because we've had Man City dopamine, Arsenal dopamine, and next we have the test that is a very informed side, Fulham, which many of us as a fan base has identified as a game that isn't a rivalry match, isn't an underdog match, and isn't one that is emotionally charged, where I think if you're a Manchester United player, you shouldn't really need much external galvanising for a Man City game or an Arsenal game. This is the game that we have quite often seen Manchester United come up a cropper, and it is always those ones against the mid-table sides in and around there where the earnest on United is to take the game to teams, possibly have to carve open and sustain pressure against a mid and low block, whilst also being able to defend in transition. And we've passed two extremely difficult tests under Michael Carrick. But the difference in this one, as well as West Ham coming up, etc., will tell us whether we are on the verge of watching, for at least the very next 6 months or so, one of the more complete teams in the division. And I can't believe I am saying that. That might sound giddy. Who knows? But with the inconsistency of everyone else around us, even the teams at the top, that might not even be a hyperbolic statement. I cannot lie. But I'm here to tell you straight up, if we beat Fulham and play well and do it convincingly, I'm going to be coming on camera and saying some crazy things. And I don't think I will be the only one that does that. Because we can go all aboard the excitement train and thinking, top 4, we should secure that in Europe. Capitalise on the possibility of Arsenal bottling it. Who knows? That is far in the future. But what the players need to do, what we need to do as fans, we can be a little bit giddy, is you need to take each game as it comes. One game and 1 week at a time. And this week has felt like a decade. I've been basking in it, giving it to the Arsenal fans. Check Steve's video out, by the way, on the Arsenal fans being the most deluded and unlikable and unbearable fan base and club in the universe, which I definitely agree with. So I would literally give my left testicle for United to somehow pip Arsenal from the title from here. I swear, hey, do not threaten me with a good time. But the test at first is Fulham. And Fulham are a very good team under what is probably one of the most underrated managers in the league, in Marco Silva. Fulham are extremely dangerous, especially when they're going forward, but they're very compact and structured defensively, and they have a really, it's almost like they're patented mid-block, which is why they've actually give Arsenal a few problems as well over the past couple of years, as well as Aston Villa. It's the teams that are very good at setting up, not exactly a low block where they're sat on the edge of the box and sat deep, even though Fulham's PPDA, which is the amount of passes a team allows before they attempt a defensive action. Usually if that PPDA is quite low, it usually suggests that a team is very high pressing and vice versa. Fulham are actually quite low on that side of things, but when you actually watch them, they aren't someone that sits on the edge of their own box and just soaks pressure and counters. They can dictate games. They are very good under pressure, and they've got a plethora of good players. They average more possession than Brighton and Spurs. They aren't one-dimensional, but when they are up against some of the better sides, they actually have been known to play a back five. I think they've done it against Liverpool and maybe Chelsea or City recently as well. So there's that versatility there, and they can be very hard to break down. But when a goal is scored, they can be involved in cricket matches as well. Cricket scores. Basketball matches, cricket scores. You get my drift. So it's a difficult one to kind of predict because it could go a number of ways. If Fulham turn up and play as good as they have been playing, they are the third best form side since Christmas. United are number 1. Since Christmas, United have been the best informed team in the league. 3 wins and 3 draws. And Fulham aren't far behind, and they're sitting right now in the Europa League places at 7th. So this will be a difficult test, and it is another litmus test for Michael Carrick's Manchester United. You've got informed Harry Wilson, quality player. You've got Sander Berge, that's marshalling their midfield, someone that I've been a massive fan of and was actually advocating for him to sign for United instead of Ugarte. got my lashes for that, and it turns out that it would have been a much better signing, much cheaper, and a nicer bridge to upgrading. But what do I know? But honestly, they have a number of threats. Obviously, they've just signed Oscar Bob, Kevin, Rodrigo Muniz is injured, I think, at the moment. So they've got Jimenez up front, who is very much a Premier League veteran at this point. We can't mess about. Got Emil Smith-Rowe, Iwobi. There's talent littered throughout the team. And I've watched Fulham quite a few times this season against different... And when they get up ahead of steam and they get their foot on the ball, they can play as good a football as anyone, and they can be one of the more threatening attacking teams in the league, and that is for sure. But this is just what you can say for most teams now in the Premier League. There's not an easy fixture. There is not a week where you can be off it. And you can't afford to be complacent, because you can drop the ball or anyone could get a result against you. Everything I've described now is why, as excited and happy we are about the results that we've just seen, turning up against a very good Fulham side that are very compact defensively, can be hard to break down when they set up against the bigger sides. Even though there was like a 5-4 game they had recently with Manchester City. There wouldn't be a caveat with turning Fulham over or beating them with a good performance, because not many teams have done it to them recently, and they're sat in 7th place. It'll be a victory and a win that would rightfully get its plaudits and would actually probably peak the excitement and the positivity factor at Manchester United, because it's crazy that you can beat the 2 top teams in the league, but we know what we've struggled and who we've struggled against over the last couple of years, that we can't allow ourselves to just get that little bit delusionally giddy until we beat the likes of a Fulham at home. When we have most of the ball, we've got a carved team opens and control and dictate a match. But I'm excited. That's what Carrick balls made me feel like. I've got my excitement again. I've got my buzz again. I've got my joy again. And Manchester United, please, may this continue, because I have been starving. Obviously, Patrick Dorgu being injured is definitely a gut punch, because I'm about to get into my starting 11 now that I would like to see, because we've got a form player on the bench in Cunha, with everyone fit as well. United's strength in depth actually looks fairly decent. You can have Shea Lacey come back into the fold as well. How we go with the attacking line has been a massive topic of debate. So that being said, I am going to go for this starting lineup. I've gone for Lemens in goal. I've gone for a back 4 of Luke Shaw, Martinez and Maguire again, but I've gone for Mazraoui right back. And I've gone for a midfield 3, kept it the same, Mainu, Casemiro and Bruno. And for the front 3, I've gone for Sesko up front and Bumo on the left as a runner inside. And I've gone for Ahmad on the right. A lot of people will be like, Cunha's been in form, has had 2 great cameos. With Dorgu coming out, you'd thought it'd be an easy, seamless transition to Cunha on the left. I think keeping him as that box office maverick, game-changing bench option probably is the best thing to do right now. And I say this because I've been watching Luke Shaw the last few weeks, and he's becoming very weary. He's become very tired of late. I think there's a lot of football that's been in his legs that he hasn't been accustomed to in a long time, which is why the Dorgu injury is all the more frustrating. And I think when you play Cunha on the left, his tendency is to be a bit of a wing fielder and drift inside a little bit too much. And then I think when that happens, especially against a team that's going to sit back, not extremely deep, but they'll definitely be in a bit of a mid-block way. They'll probably force you to play around them. You're then asking your width provider to be Luke Shaw consistently, and he's got to get up and down. Otherwise, we won't have any width holder, because you won't have Dorgu there. And I think that's why Dorgu's injury might actually upset the balance a lot more than you think in terms of the composition of the team. because what he did provide is he stayed on the touchline, he's left-footed, and you can tell how the structure feels a little bit more assured that way. You put Cunha there, he's got more quality on the ball and more of a match winner, a more attacking threat than Dorgu. But his tendencies actually kind of affect the players around him maybe. And then you've got Luke Shaw that's having to basically be a pseudo left winger when he drifts inside. And I'm not sure Luke Shaw has it in his legs to constantly do that. He might still have to. Carrick might go for Cunha with his form and probably reward him for the winning goal. But I think Mbeumo off the left, where he can actually hold width and combine, but I think more so play inside and almost be a bit of a second striker and play off Sesko. But I think Sesko starting in this game where we need his box presence and his box threat. Someone that could probably, when we're whipping balls in, especially if Dorgu on the left side or even Bruno in the right half space. And I think Sesko has been unlucky. Obviously, Carrick's decisions to not really play him much in the last 2 games has worked because we've played well and won, and then Mbeumo's been scoring. But I think with the compactness that we'll be up against and the possibility where we're going to need good box occupation, I think Sesko deserves to be given, to not be iced out 3 games in a row and be able to play and thrive in a game state that might actually suit him a little bit. But I was proper going in and out with starting Cunha instead and on the left and then Mbeumo up top. Either or, I wouldn't argue with at all. Some people might have even said drop Ahmad, but I think Ahmad's work rate off the ball and his general quality and his 1v1 threat that he does provide, I think he's one of the best, probably the best in the team at it. You need someone that can take someone out of the game in the final third, especially when you're up against compact defences. But that's the 11 that I've gone for. I've gone for Mazraoui instead of Delo because I think in a game like this, Mazraoui's on the ball quality being a little bit more better, a little bit more press resistant, more of a, just got that increased bit of technicality, could help him build up, can help the sustainment of like pressure as well. And as I think Delo was good against Arsenal. When, you know me, I'm a bit of a Delo guy, hate it or love it. But I do want to see Maz in there. And I think a little bit of rotation doesn't hurt anyone. And you can always change things. But another thing is Fulham have conceded the most goals in the league between 45 and 60 minutes. And that has been a time period just after half-time that United have thrived in that late. So that could be something that works out beautifully for us. So if we start our second half fast, which is something that we've done a lot of, which is one of the weaknesses of Fulham, I think United have generally been quite strong in the second halves over the past month or so. That is an area where we can possibly hurt them. But don't want to waffle too much. United have just got to be there. And the fact that we've actually got, even though Dorgu's injured and it's a sad state of affairs, the fact we've got a little bit of headaches in the forward areas is a good thing. And obviously, we don't like the fact that we've got 1 game a week, got to wait so long for matches. It's enabling us to kind of put consistent starting 11s together, build up relationships, but also have the option of good caliber bench options. But that is the starting 11 that I would go with. I'm not sure if you'll disagree. Obviously, we know this. We've described the men that we've got to look out for in terms of Fulham. Marco Silva's always got a good game plan against the big boys and a good gaffer. And Fulham are one of the most informed teams in the league alongside us. So it's going to be almost like the clash of the formed teams. And this weekend, we're going to find out whose chain's real. And I'm hoping the diamond tester licks off green for Manchester United. But that's it for me. I will see you here on Sunday for the review. And fingers crossed that United get another 3 points, 3 in a row. Well on our way to Champions League football. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hype the video. Trying to get to 10K. And I will see you next time.